What if the only thing keeping you alive was the belief that one day your children might be free? That one day your voice might matter? That one day your skin might no longer be a target? Before we begin, drop a comment below and let us know, what topic are you most excited to see us explore next? Your feedback helps shape the future of Equal Voices Hub, where untold stories are told with truth, dignity, and depth. Now let's begin. They were stolen not just from land, but from language, names, families, histories torn from the heart of Africa, crammed into ships not fit for animals. Thousands perished before they ever saw the shorelines of the New World, and those who survived were met not with freedom, but with chains. This wasn't a journey, it was a kidnapping, a centuries-long war against identity. It was 1619 when the first enslaved Africans were brought to the British colonies that would become America. That date, 1619, marks not a beginning but a wound that never fully healed. Slavery wasn't just physical labor, it was a calculated system built on breaking spirits. Families were sold apart, often permanently. A mother might give birth only to see her child torn from her arms and sold downriver. Fathers, unable to protect or provide, were whipped into silence. Children were raised to believe that obedience was survival, and survival was the only form of resistance they had left. But even in bondage, hope stirred. Some learned to read in secret, knowing that knowledge was dangerous but powerful. Some ran guided by the stars and the whispers of the Underground Railroad. Others stayed, singing songs that weren't just music but maps. Follow the Drinking Gourd wasn't just a tune, it was a coded guide to freedom. These acts, these moments of defiance, were fueled not by certainty but by hope. Hope that there was something more than chains. Hope that their children might walk unshackled. Slavery was legally abolished in 1865, but racism didn't die, it evolved. After the Civil War, the Reconstruction era brought a brief, fragile promise. Black Americans held office, started businesses, and pursued education. But white backlash came swiftly. By the end of the 19th century, Jim Crow laws had birthed a new kind of prison segregation. The signs were everywhere: whites only, colored entrance, no Negroes allowed. But it wasn't just signs, it was water fountains, schools, hospitals, voting booths, and courtrooms. Separate, yes, but never equal. To be black in America meant living under a legal system that protected your oppressor and criminalized your existence. If you were accused, often falsely, there was no promise of justice. Lynchings became public events, photographed, applauded. Thousands were murdered not for crimes, but for being black and in the wrong place, or looking a white person in the eye, or getting out of line. Yet again, African Americans didn't fold. They organized, they educated, they resisted. Black churches became places of not just worship, but revolution. Black-owned newspapers reported the truth when mainstream media ignored it. Booker T. Washington urged economic self-sufficiency. W.E.B. Du Bois demanded political rights. Both strategies, though different, were rooted in hope that change could come from persistence, from unity, from courage. Through every injustice, the soul of the people remained unbroken. Music was one form of survival. The blues carried the weight of sorrow and the fire of resistance. Jazz broke barriers. Gospel uplifted the weary. These weren't just genres, they were lifelines. Art became rebellion, and rebellion became culture. Harlem's Renaissance wasn't just artistic, it was a declaration: we are here, we are human, we are brilliant. Then came the sparks of organized revolution. The civil rights era did not begin in the streets, but in the hearts of those who had been waiting, praying, planning. Rosa Parks didn't just refuse a seat, she ignited a fire. The Montgomery bus boycott wasn't just about buses, it was about dignity. It lasted over a year of walking in the rain, of organizing carpools, of economic pressure. That boycott worked. It changed laws, but more than that, it changed minds. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. spoke not just with eloquence but with urgency. "I have a dream" wasn't just a speech, it was a prophecy shaped by hope. But hope did not protect him. Nor did it protect Malcolm X or Medgar Evers, or the 4 little girls in the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing, or the thousands of unnamed souls whose blood watered the tree of freedom. Still, they marched. Selma, Birmingham, Washington. They marched knowing they could be beaten, knowing they could be killed. But they marched because they believed that one day their footsteps would echo into justice. And they weren't wrong. The Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Voting Rights Act of 1965. These were legislative victories, yes, but they were born of pain, of death, of unrelenting perseverance, of mothers who buried sons, of fathers who watched daughters spit on in schoolyards, of communities who sat at lunch counters, not just for food, but for recognition. Hope didn't end with laws, because the struggle didn't end. Mass incarceration replaced the plantation. The war on drugs targeted black neighborhoods. Redlining kept families out of generational wealth. Police brutality became a new kind of lynching, recorded and replayed for the world. Rodney King, Amadou Diallo, Sean Bell, Trayvon Martin, Tamir Rice, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd. Names we say like prayers, each one a life stolen by a system still broken. But even in the face of endless tragedy, the soul still resists. Black Lives Matter isn't just a slogan, it's a rebirth. It's Ferguson rising from the flames. It's Minneapolis marching in mourning. It's children holding signs that say, "Am I next?" And parents answering with, "Not if I can help it." Today, African Americans continue to survive not because they are untouched by pain, but because they are rooted in hope. Hope passed down like heirlooms, hope stitched into church pews and protest lines. Hope that this country can become what it promised to be, that justice isn't just a word, but a reality they write. They lead, they invent, they create, they love. They persist. Every time a black student graduates from college, every time a black business opens its doors, every time a black voter casts a ballot, every time a black child dreams freely, that is resistance. That is survival. That is hope, fulfilled even if only in glimpses. This isn't just a story of oppression, it's a story of triumph, of people who built this country with their hands and still fight to be seen by it. People who were once considered property now serve as presidents of universities, CEOs, mayors, senators, astronauts, Nobel laureates, poets, scholars, and visionaries. And yet, the work continues. Because racism is not a relic, it is a system. It is subtle and loud. It is policies and prejudices. It is history and habit. But if history has shown us anything, it is that no system, no matter how brutal, can withstand the combined force of truth, resistance, and hope. So if you hear these stories and feel so good, but let it move you to something more. Speak, act, vote, teach your children the truth. Not just the pain, but the power. Because the story of African Americans is not just one of survival. It is one of brilliance, of resilience, of generations who dared to believe that even in the darkest night, dawn would come, and it is still coming. We honor them not by pitying them, but by standing with them. Thank you for watching Equal Voices Hub. If this story moved you, leave a comment below with which story you want us to explore next, whether it's about indigenous strength, Jewish resilience, or stories of immigrants shaping new lives. Your voice helps elevate theirs. And always, remember, truth matters, history matters, hope matters. Stay brave, stay human, stay equal.